Every year, thousands of American families end up stranded on the shoulder of an interstate, or worse, because of a single decision most of them made without thinking twice. They bought tires, not bad tires in the obvious sense, not visibly cracked, not bald, not obviously wrong. They bought tires that looked fine, that a shop employee called a solid choice, that came with a warranty card tucked in the box. And then, at 70 miles an hour, those tires introduced them to the worst moment of their lives. Here is the reality: nobody at the tire counter is going to volunteer. This industry runs on information asymmetry. The average driver cannot tell the difference between a tire engineered to save their life and a tire engineered to hit a price point and clear a warehouse. Both are black, round, and mounted on the same rim. The difference lives in the compound chemistry, the belt layering, the nylon reinforcement, the bonding agents between plies, details buried inside a product you cannot inspect and would not know how to evaluate even if you could. And tire shops have absolutely no financial incentive to explain any of that to you. Their incentive is to move inventory. Your safety is a secondary concern at best, and at many budget retailers, it is not a concern at all. What you can know is the paper trail. Federal regulators have been tracking tire safety data for decades, and the patterns that emerge from that data are damning for certain brands and reassuring for others. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration processes hundreds of tire-related complaints every single year, and the brands generating the most dangerous noise are not always the ones you would expect. Some of them are not obscure imports you have never heard of. Some of them are in tire shops at this very moment, stacked under attractive price tags next to recognizable names, waiting to end up under your car without you ever questioning whether they belong there. What the shop will not tell you is that certain brands currently on the market carry active recall histories, documented blowout patterns, and consumer complaint volumes so high they should disqualify them from any responsible recommendation anywhere in the country. And yet they keep selling. The economics of the tire distribution chain make it profitable to keep pushing them, and most drivers have no idea what they are rolling out of the parking lot on. Today we are going through all of it. 3 brands with documented federal histories serious enough that we believe they should be removed from consideration entirely, and 6 brands that independent testing, verified safety certification records, long-term consumer data, and the professional mechanic community have consistently backed with hard numbers. We are going to explain exactly why each dangerous brand is dangerous, what specific failures regulators have documented, and exactly what makes the safe brands worth the investment. Stay with us until the very end, because the last safe brand on this list is one that most drivers walk right past in the shop without a second glance, and it may be the single strongest value proposition in tire safety available anywhere in the American market today. If you find this kind of research useful and you want more of it every week, hit that subscribe button right now. We publish independent safety breakdowns like this one every single week with no paid placements, no brand partnerships, and no advertiser influence. Just the data you need to make decisions you can actually trust with your life and the lives of the people riding in your car. Now let us start with the brands you need to avoid, and we are beginning with a name that sounds almost reassuringly American, but is anything but. Westlake. The name conjures images of domestic manufacturing, quality control, American engineering standards. None of that is accurate. Westlake tires are manufactured by Hangzhou Zhongche Rubber Company in China, and they have been generating federal safety paperwork since at least 2007. That year, a company called Foreign Tire Sales Incorporated formally notified the NHTSA that a structural safety defect existed in certain Westlake, Compass, and YKS light truck radial tires. The defect was not cosmetic, not a minor labeling issue, not a technicality. The problem was architectural. Inadequate nylon overlays in the tire construction placed these tires at elevated risk of tread separation under ordinary highway driving conditions, not racetrack conditions, not off-road abuse, not extreme weather. Normal, everyday highway use at the speeds you drive every single day. And here is what tread separation actually means when it happens to you at speed, because this is not a technical term that belongs in a dry federal document. It means the outer layers of your tire detach from the structural carcass beneath them while the vehicle is in motion. It does not announce itself with a warning light or a gradual change in how the car handles. There is no slow hiss, no vibration that builds over time, no dashboard alert. What you get is sudden and violent. The car lurches, the steering wheel tries to rip out of your hands, and you are now managing a high-speed emergency with fractions of a second to respond and no preparation whatsoever. At 70 miles an hour, the physics are unforgiving. RV communities and trailer owners have documented Westlake failures with alarming consistency across consumer forums and owner groups. Blown sidewalls mid-trip, destroyed trailer fenders from belt material catching on body panels, damage events running between $1,500 and $2,000 from a single tire failure, and those are the incidents where the vehicle managed to stay on the road. The NHTSA complaint database tells a longer, grimmer story. Westlake appears in budget shops and comes factory installed on certain trailers because they are genuinely cheap to source, and the margins on the sale are attractive. That cost-saving decision made by a trailer manufacturer or a budget tire shop gets transferred directly to you in the form of compromised structural integrity traveling at highway speed underneath your vehicle and everything you value inside it. The technology inside a Westlake tire is dated. The materials are budget grade, the manufacturing oversight is not operating under the same standards as the brands we are about to recommend, and the federal paper trail is long enough to be disqualifying entirely on its own. Do not let a price tag convince you that cheap is an acceptable trade when the product in question is the only thing standing between your vehicle and the asphalt at 70 miles an hour. But if Westlake's track record unsettles you, the next brand we are covering may concern you even more, because this one has been flying almost completely under the radar while quietly accumulating the kind of compliance record that should end a brand's credibility entirely. Milestar. If you have not heard much about Milestar, that is by design. This is a brand that operates in the shadow of more recognizable names, positioning itself as a value alternative in the all-terrain and performance tire segments. It is sold under Terreco Incorporated and connected to the PT Multistrada Group, and it has built up a pattern of NHTSA compliance violations across multiple product lines that tells a story most of its customers have never been given the opportunity to read. In 2016, Terreco Incorporated issued a formal federal safety recall for Milestar brand radial commercial truck tires that failed to conform to federal motor vehicle safety standards. This was not a company proactively catching a problem and pulling the product before anyone got hurt. This was a compliance failure that made it to the recall stage. The situation then escalated in a direction that reveals a great deal about how this company views its obligations to the public. The brand's parent group petitioned the NHTSA for a decision of inconsequential noncompliance. Let that phrase sit for a moment. The company argued, formally and in writing, that their tires' safety violations were not significant enough to matter to the driving public. They attempted to get federal regulators to officially declare that failing to meet safety standards was no big deal. Federal regulators disagreed in writing and formally rejected the petition. The government went on record saying that this company tried to wave away its own safety failures and was told, clearly and officially, no. Think about what that sequence of events tells you about the internal culture at a company selling tires to American drivers. The UTQG traction and temperature grades on Milestar tires consistently lag behind Tier 1 manufacturers across comparable product categories. But the compliance record is the real story here. Budget retailers carry this brand because the margins work in their favor. Drivers buying Milestar tires believe they are purchasing a capable, properly tested product marketed honestly. The reality is a brand with a documented history of failing to meet the exact federal standards that exist to prevent blowouts, tread separations, and catastrophic structural failures at the speeds you drive every day. No price discount changes that math. No attractive marketing language about all-terrain capability or performance engineering changes what the federal record says. Have you or anyone you know experienced a sudden tire blowout on the highway? Drop the brand name in the comments below. We read every single one of them, and the information you share directly helps us track the brands that keep slipping through the cracks of consumer awareness. The third brand on this list generated its own major federal headline as recently as December of 2024, and the scale of what happened is something every driver in America who buys winter tires needs to understand in full detail. Prinks and Fortune. In December 2024, Prinks Chengshan Tire North America initiated a recall of 541,632 winter tires, over 500,000 units pulled from the market. The reason the NHTSA confirmed was that Fortune Tormenta and Prinks High Country tires were displaying the three-peak mountain snowflake symbol on their sidewalls without actually meeting the traction standard that symbol legally represents in the United States. That symbol is not a design element. It is not branding. It is not an aesthetic choice meant to communicate a general sense of winter readiness. The three-peak mountain snowflake is a federally recognized safety certification indicating that a tire has passed the ASTM F1805 traction standard for severe snow conditions. A tire earns that symbol by performing at a specific, measurable level of winter traction in standardized testing. Passing that test is the only legitimate way to put that mark on your sidewall. It exists specifically so that a driver standing in a tire shop in November, trying to make an informed decision about whether their family will be safe on icy roads, has a reliable signal to trust. Prinks and Fortune were stamping that symbol onto tires that their own engineers eventually confirmed were likely to fail that exact traction test across all sizes and fitments. All of them. Not a subset, not a specific production run, not a batch from a single facility. The problem extended across the entire product line. More than 100 different sizes were affected, sold in the American aftermarket to drivers specifically shopping for winter safety performance, specifically trusting that symbol on the sidewall to mean what it is supposed to mean. Here is what makes this even more troubling. This was not discovered through internal quality control. Prinks did not catch this themselves, flag it internally, and proactively pull the product. Federal scrutiny and NHTSA investigative pressure forced the issue into the open. The company applied a safety certification to a product it had not verified could meet the underlying standard, sold over 500,000 of those tires to winter drivers across the country, and the only reason the recall happened at all is because regulators pushed hard enough to make it happen. When the weather turns dangerous, when the temperature drops and the roads ice over and visibility closes to nothing, those tires offer all the winter safety of a summer tire with better marketing. They are the automotive equivalent of a fire extinguisher filled with water. The symbol is there, the capability is not. Now let us spend the rest of this video on the brands that have earned their place on your vehicle, starting with the one that the data has pointed to consistently for longer than any other name in the category, Michelin. There is a reason this brand comes up first in virtually every serious independent evaluation of tire safety, and it is not brand recognition or marketing spend. Consumer Reports has ranked Michelin at the top of its tire brand evaluations for multiple consecutive years, and the data behind those rankings is specific and granular. Independent wet braking tests consistently place the Michelin Cross Climate 2 among the safest all-weather tires available anywhere in the American market. The Cross Climate 2 uses a V-formation tread architecture combined with an advanced silica-infused compound that is engineered to maintain grip flexibility across both summer heat and near-freezing rain. That means the tire that performs in August is the same tire performing in November without compromise in either direction. You are not trading summer capability for winter safety or the reverse. Michelin solved both simultaneously. The Michelin Defender model achieves a projected tread life of 100,000 miles, which is the longest independently verified figure in the Consumer Reports tire database. That is not a number from a Michelin press release. That is a figure derived from controlled wear testing conducted by an organization with no financial relationship to Michelin. Michelin's EverGrip technology progressively opens new traction grooves as the tire wears down through normal use, ensuring that grip performance does not deteriorate as the tread reduces over time. Most tires get progressively worse at their core function as they wear. Michelin engineers specifically against that degradation. A 2-year-old Michelin tire is still designed and tested to outperform a brand new Westlake on every safety metric that matters: wet braking, tread separation resistance, compound integrity under heat load. The price point is higher than budget alternatives, but when you calculate total cost of ownership across the full tread life, factor in replacement frequency, and weigh the difference in documented safety performance, Michelin represents the most defensible value in the entire category. If you drive a family vehicle and you care about what happens in a sudden rain emergency at highway speed, this is where the evidence points first, and it has been for years. Goodyear is currently the largest tire manufacturer in the world by production volume, and that scale reflects decades of compounding engineering investment rather than simply an ability to make a lot of tires cheaply. The Goodyear Assurance Weather Ready ranks in the top 3 for wet braking confidence in the United States according to independent tire safety rankings for 2025, with verified performance across both heavy rain hydroplaning scenarios and cold weather grip transitions where many competitors fall apart. Goodyear has made a specific and sustained investment in what engineers call weather transition performance, the precise moment when a dry road surface becomes wet, when temperature drops across a critical threshold, when conditions shift faster than most drivers can consciously process and adjust to. That transition window is when the most dangerous accidents happen, and Goodyear has concentrated significant research resources on exactly that problem. Beyond the safety performance, the Goodyear Assurance Fuel Max model delivers energy savings equivalent to approximately 2,600 miles worth of fuel over the life of a full set of 4 tires, meaning the tire actively returns money to you through improved efficiency while simultaneously keeping you safer than the alternatives. Goodyear's recall rate on passenger tires is among the lowest of any major manufacturer operating in the American market, and their warranty and road hazard support programs are among the most comprehensive available anywhere at retail. This is a company that stands behind its products with financial commitment because the products themselves hold up under independent scrutiny. Accessible, safety-first engineering from a brand large enough to invest billions in research and development and disciplined enough to maintain quality standards consistently across every product line in a very large portfolio. Bridgestone is the world's largest tire company measured by total global revenue, and that position was earned through an engineering culture that operates at a level of sophistication most consumers never have reason to observe directly. Bridgestone developed run-flat tire technology that allows a vehicle to continue traveling at up to 50 miles per hour for up to 50 miles after a complete and total pressure loss event, transforming what would otherwise be a catastrophic highway emergency into a controlled situation where the driver can find a safe place to stop without losing control of the vehicle. That technology did not emerge from a desire to have a marketable feature. It came directly out of Bridgestone's internal engineering commitment to eliminating tire-related fatalities, which means it was built from the ground up around the physics of failure rather than the optics of selling. Bridgestone's reliability scores across independent consumer testing platforms consistently place them in the top 3 positions across every major vehicle category. passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks. Their Ecopia product line leads in rolling resistance efficiency among major manufacturers, while the Turanza line consistently scores top marks in wet road handling and ride comfort in independent comparative evaluations. Bridgestone also invests specifically in thermal management technology for their tire compounds, engineering the rubber to resist degradation under the sustained and cumulative heat generated by long highway drives. Thermal degradation is one of the leading causes of blowout events on extended interstate trips, the kind of long-distance drives that put the most stress on a tire over the longest continuous period. And most budget brands completely ignore that failure mode because addressing it costs money they are not willing to spend. Bridgestone engineers specifically for it because their research tells them that is where the risk lives. Their quality control infrastructure includes in-production testing at every major manufacturing facility worldwide, meaning the standards are not applied after the fact, but embedded in the manufacturing process itself. Continental represents the application of German precision engineering to the specific and high-stakes problem of keeping a vehicle under control in wet conditions, which is statistically the most dangerous driving environment most American drivers regularly encounter. The Continental All-Season Contact 2 won the wet handling category in a rigorous 30-tire independent comparative evaluation, posting the fastest wet handling lap time in the entire test field at 107.96 seconds, a margin significant enough that it was not a statistical photo finish but a clear and measurable advantage over the field. In the United States market, Continental's ContiSense technology uses electrically conductive rubber compounds embedded in the tire structure to enable real-time monitoring of tread depth and road surface temperature, giving drivers an active safety data advantage that no budget brand comes remotely close to offering. This is not a theoretical capability or a promotional talking point. It is a functional engineering system built into the tire compound itself. The Continental Terrain Contact HT delivers a projected tread life of 70,000 miles while simultaneously maintaining exceptional wet braking performance, a combination that is genuinely difficult to achieve because the compound properties that extend tread life and the properties that maximize wet grip create competing engineering demands that have to be resolved at the molecular level of the rubber formulation. Continental resolves them both. Their ultra-high performance segment sales grew by 15 percentage points between 2019 and 2024, which tells you that safety-conscious drivers who do their research are gravitating toward Continental at a measurable and accelerating rate. Continental's recall record on major passenger tire platforms is clean. Their technical investment spans both performance and everyday touring categories with equal engineering discipline, and the consumer safety record they have built over decades in the American market is one of the strongest in the industry. Pirelli is the brand that independent tire safety testing communities and professional evaluators keep placing at the top of braking benchmarks across evaluation cycles, and the numbers behind those rankings deserve to be stated clearly rather than summarized vaguely. In 2024 and 2025 comparative evaluations, the Pirelli Cinturato All-Season SF3 posted the best wet braking result in its test group, stopping from 100 km per hour in 25.14 meters. In the same evaluation, it also won the dry braking category, stopping from the same speed in 36.97 meters. From 100 km per hour, a driver on a Pirelli stops nearly 4 meters shorter in wet conditions than a driver on the worst performing tire in that same test group. 4 meters does not sound like much until you are looking at the car you did not hit because you had 4 extra meters of stopping distance available to you. 4 meters is the difference between a near miss and a collision, between an insurance claim and a fatality statistic. Pirelli's motorsport involvement is not a branding exercise or a sponsorship arrangement. Pirelli serves as the exclusive tire supplier to Formula One racing, which is the highest intensity tire testing environment that exists anywhere on Earth. The heat loads, lateral forces, and acceleration demands placed on a Formula One tire in a single race lap exceed anything consumer tires encounter in a lifetime of normal driving, and Pirelli's engineering teams work at that frontier continuously. The compound research that comes out of that program, particularly in silica compound optimization and tread block rigidity under extreme lateral stress, filters directly into consumer tire development. The Cinturato you buy at a tire shop is built on engineering intelligence developed at racing speeds, and Pirelli tires are available at price points genuinely competitive with brands offering a fraction of the measurable capability. For urban and suburban drivers who encounter wet roads, standing water, and rain-slicked intersections on a regular basis, the braking performance advantage translates into a statistically meaningful and real-world relevant reduction in collision probability. The sixth and final brand on this list is the one we want to spend extra time on, because the degree to which most everyday drivers overlook it is directly proportional to how much it deserves their attention. BF Goodrich has been developing consumer tires through active and serious motorsport competition for more than 40 years, and the specific type of competition matters enormously to understanding why this brand belongs on this list. Off-road racing programs. The Baja 1000 desert racing rally competition demand a level of structural integrity, sidewall toughness, and compound durability that no standard laboratory tire test can fully replicate. A laboratory test tells you how a tire performs under controlled and predictable conditions. Off-road racing at competitive speed tells you how a tire performs when everything goes wrong at once. Unpredictable terrain, sustained vibration, heat cycles, lateral loading, and impact forces that would destroy a less engineered product within miles. That heritage produces compound formulations and multiply construction methodologies that carry over directly into every consumer tire lineup BF Goodrich makes. You are not buying a tire from a company that learned about durability in a testing lab. You are buying from a company that has been stress testing their engineering philosophy at race speeds for 4 decades. The BF Goodrich Advantage Control delivers a treadwear warranty of 75,000 miles for H-rated tires and 65,000 miles for V and W-rated models, backed by a computer-optimized tread design that independently and measurably enhances safety across all weather conditions. BF Goodrich's advanced rubber compounds are specifically formulated to maintain flexibility and grip characteristics across a wide temperature range, from the kind of heat that builds during a long summer highway drive to the kind of cold that stiffens cheaper rubber and reduces grip in ways the driver never notices until the car does not stop the way it should. Professional mechanics and commercial fleet operators consistently recommend BF Goodrich, and this matters more than any consumer review or marketing study. Fleet managers make tire decisions based on documented failure rates, total cost of ownership over the life of the tire, and the real-world consequences of a failure when a vehicle is carrying cargo or passengers on a schedule. They do not have the luxury of choosing based on brand recognition or an attractive price tag. When the people whose job it is to keep vehicles running safely and cost-effectively choose a tire, that choice is as close to an objective endorsement as the tire market produces. BF Goodrich earns that endorsement consistently without advertising campaigns or sponsored placements, simply because the tires do what they are supposed to do at a level that professional users can measure and depend on. 40-plus years of racing-derived engineering, outstanding warranty coverage, and a professional endorsement community that requires no financial incentive to recommend this brand. This is the tire that quietly outperforms its price tag every single time, and it deserves far more attention from everyday drivers than it currently receives. Here is what all of this comes down to, and we want to say it plainly before we close because this is the most important thing in this entire video. The tire industry runs on a clean and consistent divide between brands that engineer for your safety and brands that engineer for their own margin. For most drivers, that divide is completely invisible because a tire looks like a tire. It is round, it is black, it fits on the rim, it holds air. The difference between a Westlake and a Michelin is not visible to the naked eye standing in a tire shop. It lives in compound chemistry, in belt construction, in quality control infrastructure, in the number of engineering hours invested per product line, in whether the people who made this thing actually tested it under conditions that resemble the conditions you will drive it in. Most drivers have no mechanism to observe any of that, which is exactly what makes the federal safety record and independent test data so valuable. They are the only window most of us have into what is actually inside that black rubber ring. The 3 brands we covered in detail today, Westlake, Milestar, and Prinks and Fortune, each carry documented federal safety histories, regulatory compliance failures, and records of consumer harm serious enough that we believe they are indefensible recommendations at any price point under any circumstances. They remain on retail shelves because the supply chain rewards cheap sourcing and generous retailer margins, not because any serious safety engineer would put them on their own vehicle or recommend them to anyone they cared about. The 6 brands on the other side of that divide, Michelin, Goodyear, Bridgestone, Continental, Pirelli, and BF Goodrich, are not uniformly premium or financially out of reach. They range from accessible everyday touring options that work within almost any reasonable budget to engineering-intensive performance tires built for drivers who want every technical advantage available. What they share across all of that range is an uncompromising commitment to compound development, rigorous quality control that operates throughout the manufacturing process rather than as a final checkbox, and safety testing conducted at a depth and seriousness that the dangerous brands have actively and repeatedly declined to match because matching it costs money they prefer to keep. The best tire for your vehicle is not the most expensive one on the wall. It is the one that has been properly tested under real conditions, correctly certified against the standards those certifications represent, and backed by engineers who have a genuine and demonstrable commitment to whether it holds together at 70 miles an hour in a rainstorm with people you love inside the car. Price is a factor in every tire decision. It should be the last factor, evaluated only after safety, certification history, and independent test performance have already narrowed the field. Before you finish watching this video, we want to ask you to do one specific thing. Go to the NHTSA database It is a free, publicly available government resource, and search your exact current tire brand and size for active complaints, investigations, and recalls. The process takes about 4 minutes. The information is completely free, there is no technical barrier, and no excuse for not doing it. If you find something in that database that concerns you, you now have the context from this video to understand what it means and what to do about it. Your tires are the only component of your vehicle that actually contacts the road at any point in any drive you have ever taken. Every other system, the engine, the brakes, the suspension geometry, the electronic stability systems you paid for, works entirely through the 4 contact patches where your tires meet the asphalt. Those contact patches are about the size of your hand each. Everything depends on them. Do not save $20 on something that can cost everything. Hit subscribe before you go if you want the truth about what is actually keeping you safe on the road delivered to you every single week. We will be back with another investigation that tire shops, dealerships, and the brands that supply them would strongly prefer you never had the chance to see.